What's up everyone? Today I'll be going through my preliminary final AFL tips and predictions. We only have 3 more games left of this AFL season. Just randomly, there was news the other day brought out that Bruce McAvaney will be making a return and commentating in the last 3 games of the season, which, let's be honest, that is awesome news. Too bad I won't be listening to any of those games live this week since I'll be going to both preliminary finals. Yes, I know this video is coming out a little bit later in the day. That's because if you didn't see already on the channel, I was sucked into doing an overnight stream and I ended it, really crap time at 9. This wasn't filmed by then. I needed to get sleep. It was an unplanned overnight stream, which is why this is late. But let's get right into reviewing for starters the semi-finals tips. I kind of don't want to, but I don't think many people would because it was hard last week. No one really did well. It was a round of probably upsets. I got 0 out of 2, as you can see, and still in the top 30%. I know it doesn't actually say that I tipped the site, and that's only because the site was actually broken when I wanted to do my tips on the day. However, it wouldn't have mattered because the game on the Friday, I tipped Hawthorn. They were the favourites, even though it was away from home. They had the advantage. They had the momentum. Port Adelaide came off an 85-point smashing. The likes of Kane Corns gave them no chance, but they actually responded and actually seemed like they wanted to win, made it a contest, and with a better side, I think, for longer, even though Hawthorn probably had a lot of chances themselves to win. And then, arguably a better game on the Saturday, GWS v Brisbane. The Giants were up by 44 points late into the third, but Brisbane just went on an absolute rampage and came back from 44 points in the third biggest comeback in finals of all time. Both sides scoring over 100 and consecutive chokes for the Giants by a combined amount of 73 points. Look, no side had done any worse in terms of chokes in a single final series in terms of going out in straight sets ever. That has to be a record, and you feel for the Giants because they were the side that I wanted to win the flag, but it's Brisbane now, and maybe it's Brisbane the side that I want to win the flag. I'm not too sure, but you'd feel bad for the Giants fans, but this is a great week of semis. I cannot remember the last time we had 2 semi-finals games this thrilling and close in one round. Now let's take a look at my tipping competition. So this is total scores right here sorted, and it looks like Pat Cross Dogs most likely wins the comp unless he does stupid tips. He has a 163 with 783 of the margin. Rort Wasp is second with 161, Swan Hunter 160, Ryan Chappie 160, and Ivan Soldo also 160 with a margin of 776. Remember, there are prizes for I think top 5, and I'll have a community post after grand final day, like the next week, revealing the winners. And I'll be contacting them as soon as I possibly can. So looks like Pat Cross Dogs, if he's not coming first, he's certainly going to make a top 3 finish. And also I'll be revealing my fantasy comp winners next week. The best tippers in the semi-finals. We had actually quite a few that got a perfect score of only the 2, but we had Nifty Nigel with a score of 2 and a margin of 0. Chooky Man 21. Swan Hunter also in the top 3 of my comp. In the top 3 for the round, Tiwa, April Laney's, and Green Bottle. We had Noah Worth, Fort Worth, Hess Royale, Pie Boy, and Gussington. This is the first time all season where the best scores were not scores used by the Joker because of how difficult it was, and who's going to be using the Joker in semi-final weeks? You're getting nothing out of it. Those are my reviews for the tipping competition for last week, and I wanted to review my tips for last week that I usually shoot out in my forms, but I completely forgot to send the link, so I apologize for that. I only realized till Friday, but it was a bit too late. So the link for your big calls and predictions will be out down below, so definitely feel free to fill those in for the prelim finals. But let's take a look at my ones. I know they don't matter. The first game I said that Watson and Guinea would combine for 6 or more goals, and I was close actually. They combined for 5 or more goals. And then my second game I said that the Lions were lead for longer but lose, and the Giants were in front for majority of the game, then the Lions actually were the ones that came back. So they weren't terrible, but at the same time, they didn't, eventuate, so I didn't get any of them right, and it was ultimately a little bit disappointing, but they don't mean for anything because I don't have to do the punishments for that week. So those are my big calls. And before we get into the tips as well, just want to point out that the goal for the rest of the final series by Grand Final is 42,000 subscribers. We're trying to make a big push. I think we're only 1.3k away. 11 days till Grand Final day. Hit that subscribe button down below, and let's get straight into the preliminary final AFL tips. Alright everyone, the first game we have on the Friday night, Sydney take on Port Adelaide at the SCG. The first time these two sides have met in a final since 2003. And yes, I will be going to this game. I've already booked flights and all that stuff. I actually haven't got a ticket yet locked in. I probably will get one tomorrow on the Wednesday, but if there is anyone out there that has maybe 1 or 2 on sale, please let me know. My socials will be up there. Feel free to hit me up because there's no guarantee, but ultimately I'll be making my way to this game regardless of what happens, and you'll find out why next week in a video. But this game, 87% of the tips is going to the Swans, even though, for Sydney side, Port Adelaide have been their bogey team, haven't beaten the Power since 2016. At home and away, remember the last time Sydney and Port Adelaide played off, they lost by 112 points. So in a way, maybe Sydney will be a little bit nervous heading into this matchup, even though Port Adelaide clearly are this, inferior side heading into this one. Port Adelaide probably just scraped away the win last week where they, used everything on the line, were battered and bruised in that one. Probably going to be coming off a couple of sore bodies, quite a few sore bodies, whilst the Swans refreshed after their GWS win with the week off, and it's obviously a home game at the SCG. But Port Adelaide could ride that momentum. Who knows, with all the media scrutiny Hinkley's gotten over the weekend, maybe he can use it as a bit of motivations, everyone pot-shotting him. But ultimately, the Swans are favourites for a reason. They've been the best side in the competition all year. Yes, there was a period where the Swans had that down form, and that was when they lost by 112, but they've gotten their plays back. They seem to be a lot more well-drilled, well-balanced. I'm still a little bit questionable on whether or not they'll be able to start games off strongly, because there was another concern against the Giants. Maybe if Port Adelaide really put their knuckles down hard and start off early and make it a contest, they could, find a way to win this game. Last week, I thought the Power started well, particularly early on, their ability to win clearances, win the ball out the middle. They're a little bit more cleaner with the footy. I felt the Power, and they probably had a little bit more runs, and also they just seemed like the cleaner side, and they applied the pressure. They were really hot on whenever Hawthorn had the footy, so they were good in the game last week. They certainly came out to play. Sydney obviously with a week break, they beat the Giants a couple of weeks ago. That was a phenomenal game. It was pretty much Heaney or bust. If Heaney didn't play that game, who knows, maybe the Swans would be out in straight sets, but he found a way to get them over the line. I think for both sides, the selection's probably going to stay round about the same. You wouldn't think Dixon comes back for Port Adelaide. I don't know about Marshall. He obviously got subbed out with an injury. For Sydney's sake, Papley came back last week, and I think that really makes it a much more dangerous forward line. Amadi, he didn't have the greatest game, but a player like Amadi or Logan McDonald, you need that extra forward to really step up, because they've had pretty down years for the most part, those two. So one of them will probably have to have a big say if the Swans, want to have a better chance of winning this game. I really would like to see this game being a close one. I think it's an interesting matchup. Obviously, Port Adelaide, they've had the upper hand over the Swans, so they're going to use that to their advantage. But Sydney, it's at the SCG. They're going to be in front of all their home fans, and they have been the superior side all year. This has the potential of being a blowout if Port Adelaide run out of gas, which you sort of see in sort of these finals. If you see the stat where the team gets smashed in the first week and win the second week, typically they do get smashed in the third week. It's not very often where they go all the way and make it to a granny. But if they made it to a granny, I'd give them half a chance at going all the way. They're $9 to win the premiership. They're $3.20 to win this game. I expect the Power to come out early, and I think they're going to start the game off arguably stronger, but I just think with Sydney, they've got too much class just not to back them in to go all the way, and I think they're really going to grind out a hard fought-out win after, maybe being down in bits and pieces in the first few quarters. I think they're going to get a really strong last quarter and ultimately win the game by 31 points. I think the Swans move into the grand final. My big call for this game is that Sydney win the last quarter by 20 or more points. I think they're going to have a big last quarter later against the Giants that'll take them over the line to win this game. And the final game on the Saturday, this is at 5:15 p.m. They have the twilight game on the Saturday normally, and I actually don't mind it too much. We have Geelong take on Brisbane at the MCG. Probably the game I'm looking forward to a little bit more in terms of what I think will be a better game of footy. Obviously closer with the odds, closer with the tipsters, and I think it's got the potential of being a much more even game, because I'm still not 100% sure what Geelong will come out, and it's at the MCG. Now, these two sides have met off in quite a few finals as of late. In fact, especially the prelim finals. They played in 2004, where I believe Brisbane won that game. They played it from 2020, where Geelong won by quite a bit. And then the Cats smashed them in 2022, which I did remember going to that game. It was at the MCG, and the Lions basically were out from the start. Brisbane, they've been in some really good form. They've only dropped 2 games in the last 12. Yes, they were down by 44 points against the Giants, and yes, I know in that Carlton game they had patches where they were quite inconvincing with a drop, but I think if they want to win this game, they've got to remain consistent for 4 quarters, or at least stay in the contest, and I don't think in a prelim you can be down by more than 30 points and come back and win. I think in a prelim final, I don't think a side like the Cats, especially at home, will be the sort of side to drop off like that. Obviously, Geelong, they had the week off after having an absolute annihilation of an 84-point win. I believe the only change they'll be making is Stewart back in the lineup, so that's only going to strengthen their side, and they're going into this game as favourites and deserving favourites. The Cats, the only side left in Victoria, still in finals. If we remember the previous matchup this season between these two sides, it was actually Geelong that won, when Brisbane were definitely down on form, especially the Gabba, and this was, I think, during the time Geelong had their 7-in-a-row streak. And then the Cats had a little bit of a form slump during the season. They finished off the season very strongly with, I think, 6 or 7 wins out of 8. And now, obviously, they're into a home prelim. I thought players that really stepped up in their comeback win for the Lions. I mean, Lachie Neale, he was always really influential in the midfield. Rayner had a really big say. I thought Ashcroft, young midfielder, but he had a lot of the say. Up forward, Cameron actually provided a bit of dominance. Danaher was obviously the man of the moment. He kicked 4 goals, but 2 clutch goals to win in the game. And I think Joe Danaher, and for the Brisbane Lions, like I've been saying a lot, and I saw it again in the game, they need to make the most of their chances. In a prelim final, you cannot get second chances. You don't normally get second chances because teams show up in prelims, and if you're not 100%, you're going to get shown up. And the Lions have just got to stop doing stupid things with the footy. Maybe nullify the impact of the likes of Cameron and Stengel up forward as well. I think they're a big chance of winning this game because I think, honestly, Brisbane are the better side. When you think about it, the Cats weren't tipped to finish top 8 this year with the Brisbane Lions. I think I said they'd win the flag. So I know it's at the MCG. The Brisbane Lions have had their hoodoos there. They lost to the Pies earlier in the year. Last year, obviously, they lost in the granny. But they've been getting very damn close. And I think they need to get a finals win at the MCG. If they can get a finals win at the MCG, that's going to give them so much confidence next week. And I think they'll almost go into the next game favourites, especially if they play Port. But it'll make it an all-in-state grand final, which is honestly something I would really like to see. You normally get one good prelim final, not normally two, but you do normally get one thriller. And to finish off the prelim week, the MCG, I reckon the Lions come back in the last and win the game by 1 point. This will be maybe game of the year. Who knows? I think it's going to be relatively high scoring. You see a lot with Brisbane games, but I think the Lions are actually going to kick straight for once, and then I'll keep them in the game and then win by 1 point with my big call. There'll be 10 or more lead changes throughout the game. I'm going to say the Lions move on to a grand final. Don't hate the Cats, but I just like the Lions a little bit here, and I'm probably going to be supporting them quite a bit because I think they're a real chance. But the Cats, they're going into the game as deserving favourite. Those will be my preliminary final predictions. I also want to quickly say as well, I forgot to do this, I promised to shout out Bluxy and Haydos from my Kahoot stream last night. They kept on begging me to tip Sydney. I was going to tip Sydney anyway, but they were like, oh, tip Sydney by so-and-so margin, this and that. I've gone the Swans by 31, alright? Next week will be my grand final predictions, and then yeah, I'll put up a community post to the winners, and I'll maybe a little review of the best tips for a week. I'll try and do some little mini review, maybe on more Cardmen, but probably just on a community post. Yeah, I've gone the Swans and the Lions. I think the Swans and the Lions grand final, I think of all grand final possibilities, that will be the one that I want the most. If the Swans do make it and they play the Cats, after what we saw in 2022, I don't know if that's the grand final I really want. But those are the finals predictions. Once again, if you've got anyone that knows where Sydney v Port Adelaide tickets, where to get one, let me know down below. I will be at the Geelong v Brisbane game as well. I've got some really good seats for that, so it'll be 2 vlogs. Until then, though, we'll see you soon. Tomorrow should be my next video. And yeah, thanks for watching.